Welcome and good morning. Welcome to this spiritual space. My name is Jacqueline Karras, and on behalf of First Unitarian Church of Wilmington, I welcome you to our worship service here in the sanctuary and streaming online. About me, I use she, her pronouns. I'm a middle-aged white woman wearing the color lavender today, and I use the word middle liberally. Arrive and feel safe and accepted here, no matter your race, how you identify, and no matter where you are on your faith journey. If you are new to First U, I encourage you to sign up for our weekly e-newsletter. That can be accomplished via our website at firstuuwilm.org. For those online, please use the link in the chat. This morning, I am pleased to welcome Dr. Edris Harrell as worship leader. As you likely know, Edris is a fellow member and worship associate at First Unitarian Church. What you may not know that Edris recently won an award from Equal Access. This is a disabilities organization within the UUA. The award recognized Edris' sermon presented last summer entitled Equity as My Spiritual Practice. Today, Edris will guide us in a celebration of language. Language as a tool for communication, art, connection, community, democracy, and mental health. Edris, thank you for leading us today. If you would please help me out and welcome those joining us online by turning to the camera and waving, side camera, and then turn to your neighbors and greet each other with warm salutations. And now, let us prepare our hearts and minds for worship.
Good morning. I'm Edris Harrell. I am a white woman with long brown hair. I'm wearing a black blouse and blue skirt. I'd like to thank Lotus Chang for leading the music on piano. Yes, that's beautiful. Sarah Collins, thank you for leading us on hymns today. And of course, Jacqueline for serving as worship associate in that lovely introduction. Thank you. So start off, raise your hand if you've ever tried to learn a second language. It was pretty hard, right? I won't ask how many of you successfully speak it now. Learning a second language, while challenging, makes a person aware of the grammar and structures of our own language, as well as that of the second language, and the culture around both. Working with bilingual children and those with language delays, I've come to realize the richness and importance of language. Language is an amazing and complex tool, and I wanted to celebrate that today. I will start with the poem Dictionary of Sounds by Dejan Stojanovic. Born from the natural attraction of vowels and consonants, alliterating or merging into a fugue of sounds flowing from the fountain of language. Meanings embodied in blasts of thunder, chirping, blowing. Sounds become meanings in, for, and of themselves. A huge dictionary of sounds, craving to be recognized and translated either into language or into understanding.
If you have a chalice at home, I invite you to join me by lighting it while I read these words adapted by Reverend Monica Jacobson Tennyson. Welcome. What you bring, who you are, enriches us all. We say welcome to your joy, your hope, your grief, and your fear. For we are a people of faith, faith in our ability to grow, faith in our capacity to know ourselves and each other ever deeply. Please join in singing hymn 1008, When Our Heart is in a Holy Place. And after the hymn, we'll join together in the unison affirmation.
When we trust the
And now, please join me in affirming our mission. First Unitarian Church of Wilmington is a beloved community that nourishes minds and spirits, fights injustice, and transforms the world through loving action.
This prayer was written by Ken Sawyer. To the blessings of this season, may our senses be alert and our hearts take heed, for in a busy and sometimes tragic world, beauty is often the comfort most sure. To the blessings of warm, accepting human relationship, may our hearts be open and our minds take heed, for in a lonely and sometimes frightening world, friendship is often the support that upholds us. To the blessings of high ideals and noble aspirations, may our minds be open and our hands take heed. For in a troubled and sometimes dangerous world, justice is often the hope. Oops, I'm losing the mic. Sustains us. Forgiving each other and ourselves. Shall I switch? Okay. Forgiving each other and ourselves for all we do not sense, for the love we do not share, for the acts of justice we avoid. Let us treasure the parts of ourselves that do respond. Blessed be the life that comforts, sustains, and upholds us. And blessed be we who do now and then awaken to its grace. Let us now sit in meditative silence. You are now welcome to share with us aloud or in the chat the names of those who you think of with concern and caring. May all whose names were spoken and those unspoken find peace and healing this day. And sometimes in the midst of suffering and sadness, it is hard to find joy or something to be grateful for, but it is there. Please share with us, again aloud or in the chat, what you are grateful for today. May the joys and gratitudes carry us through our moments of struggle. I'm reading an excerpt from the book Talk, The Science of Conversation and the Art of Being Ourselves by Dr. Allison Wood Brooks. Can we get the slide? Thank you. On the screen are shown pairs of lines with each pair meeting and separating at different points. Each pair is labeled with a different relationship. For example, best friend childhood has the lines together at the left point and then gradually separating as they go to the right. Best friend university has the lines apart on the left and gradually becoming closer towards the right. Other pairs are labeled as sibling, parent, first love, friend with benefits, someone you met at the wrong time then re-met at the right one night stand, therapist, and dog. Dr. Brooks said this about these lines. Every relationship you've had with every person you've ever known has a shape that formed over time, a trajectory. The New Yorker cartoonist, writer, and columnist Olivia de Ricat captures the idea of relationship trajectories over time with what she calls closeness lines. Imagine two strings that start at hello and stretch to the end of your lifetime. There's a unique string for every person you encounter in the world. I find her closeness lines poignant and thought-provoking. But I am more interested in what you don't see on de Ricat's closeness lines. This phrase trips my tongue up every time. Where on those silent stretches of string are the knots, the points in time and space where we converge for a moment of talk with a sibling, first love, parent, one-night stand, best friend from childhood, best friend from college, and so on. Our conversations are like little itty-bitty knots spread out along the way, whether randomly or at regular intervals, close together or far apart. We may or may not even remember which conversations kept our closeness lines in touch and which ones pulled them closer and which ones sent them hurtling asunder. Our closeness lines wobble and drift apart for many reasons. We move on or we move away. Life pulls us in different directions. Perhaps the closeness was contingent on a particular moment in time. Our lives have different seasons, and the people in them change along with them. Sometimes, though, a disagreement or difference can send us hurtling away from each other, causing an abrupt and unwelcome weather event in our lives. Following a rift, the passage of time can bring closeness lines back together, especially for people who are bound by obligatory exposure to each other, like some work colleagues or family members. But the passage of time isn't always enough or optimal. Sometimes conversation is required to diagnose what went wrong and to try to fix it. So I ask you now to take a minute to think about one person in your life. What would your closeness lines look like? Can you recall any poignant conversations along the point of your relationship? And where would those knots be placed on the lines? A few months ago, I went to the home of a 4-month-old boy who is profoundly deaf. His father and older sister are also deaf and communicate with American Sign Language, or ASL. And his mother, who is hearing, speaks Spanish, though she uses some signs with her deaf family members. During my visit, the baby lay in a swing, very alert, and I began talking to him in Spanish, smiling and making animated facial expressions. I apologize for this. Hola, ¿cómo estás? ¡Qué lindo! Sorry. He watched me and smiled. But then I signed. How are you? Are you good? Oh, so cute. And his eyes lit up. He waved his arms and kicked his legs and made little cooing noises. He got so excited, I signed to him. I was struck by the fact that this little baby already recognized his language. He understood that my hand movements, as opposed to my lip movements, were more meaningful to him. It seems so obvious that yes, language is important to communicate with others. We use language to exchange ideas and report on events through speeches, articles, science journals, newspapers, and books. And we use language to convey emotions, stories, and concepts as art through poetry, novels, scripts, and songs. But I feel that, at least in our country, language is undervalued as a tool for community and connection. This has helped lead us to become more isolated as a country and amongst ourselves, resulting in a loss of community, in polarization, and declining mental health. In the US, most students are only required to take 2 years of a foreign language to graduate high school. In contrast, over 20 countries in the European Union require 9 years of language. Many colleges in the US are closing language departments because fewer students are studying a foreign language. Some might argue that so many people around the world speak English that it's not necessary to learn another language. But language is not just about words. It is also about culture and deeper access to the culture and to the person. This is important for international relations, but it is also a personal benefit as we become exposed to new, different, and beautiful ideas or ways of being. By understanding another language, we will experience the full person and culture when someone from that culture is able to express themselves to us in their first language. When a person speaks in their first language, they have a wider vocabulary, less cognitive demand to understand and express themselves, and they are able to communicate in a way that feels more natural to them. We get to see more of the person when they speak in their first language. Speaking another language opens up more and various rich experiences to us, helping to create a psychologically rich life, which is characterized by a variety of experiences and friendships and taking on new perspectives. Christina Trishina is a polyglot, meaning she speaks multiple languages, and she wrote in her blog, "You can think of it like looking through a kaleidoscope. If you only speak 1 or 2 languages, you only see 1 or 2 of the many colors, like seeing a black and white movie. But a polyglot sees more colors and shades, giving them a gorgeous and tonal view of the world." Being a speaker and reader of Spanish, there was so much more of Spain available to me when I spent a semester there in the early 1990s. I became friends with people who did not speak English. And more than just a tour giving highlights on the history of bullfighting and attending a bullfight, for example, an older gentleman shared with me his passion for bullfights and why in Spain it is considered to be an art, not a sport. I spoke with a younger woman who expressed frustration with aspects of the traditional culture and advocated to eliminate bullfighting in Spain. I was able to read the monthly fan magazines about the famous bullfighters and the different family lines of the bulls, very important. I learned the difference between matador, torero, and picador, what makes for a great bullfighter, and when do the best bullfighters usually perform. This is by no means a support for the deathly spectacle, but it is a richer understanding of its place and the emotions around it in Spanish culture. Understanding the structure of a language, its rules and idiosyncrasies, is another factor towards understanding a culture. An English speaker might say, "I missed the bus," but many Spanish speakers will say, "Se me fue el autobús," which means, "I was passed by the bus." This is one I learned while working in public schools. Individualistic cultures tend to use an active voice that focuses on the agent of an action or who or what caused the action, whereas in more collective cultures, the agent is not emphasized and a passive voice is more often used. Cognitive scientist Leah Brodsky found in her research that certain characteristics of language, such as active versus passive voice, can predict to a degree how a person will remember or interpret a situation, like thinking that something is strong or beautiful, or who caused an event to happen. This is part of appreciating the different tones of the world that Christina Trishina mentioned. Language is not only a reflection of that culture's current values, but also its history. There are many words that become time capsules buried within the vernacular. The Puerto Rican dialect, for example, is a representation of the history of the island, which includes a successful indigenous Taíno people, Spanish and then American colonization, the enslavement of Africans, oppression, and a struggle for self-determination. Puerto Ricans call themselves Boricuas, which is from the Taíno name of the island, Boriquen. The word chévere, which means cool, comes from the Efik language of enslaved Nigerians. To park a car, Puerto Ricans say parquear due to the American English influence. Like with any language, you can literally hear their history as they speak. Language itself is an artifact of the culture. Its use is an act of survival. Its lack of use results in a loss of identity. It's why the US government sent indigenous children to residential schools and forbade them from speaking their native languages, and why indigenous communities are trying now to revive their languages to better understand and identify with their identity as an indigenous person. As quoted by the author H.S. Crow, words have oppressed and liberated countless. It is a weapon that can be used to inspire and save lives, or discourage and forsake them. Throughout history, different government regimes laid the groundwork for violence against specific groups of people by using language to demonize and dehumanize them. More recently, our president has referred to Latin American immigrants as rapists and gang members who are invading our country. By making the group less than us, it becomes easier for us to look the other way when the targeted group is being persecuted by our government. It is therefore an act of liberation and equity to support the creation of new vocabulary by marginalized groups, the continued use of an immigrant's language, or the renewal of the oppressed's language. We do not serve language. Language serves us. Each generation creates new words or new meanings for existing words to express new concepts or technology, to reclaim dignity, or to better express a marginalized group's existence or experience. El-Michel Duran is a trans woman, social media content provider, and author of the ebook, The Heart of Allyship. In a video, she responded to criticisms that there were too many new gender and sexuality terms. She said, "I'm a trans feminine, non-binary person. A lot of people's coffee orders are more complicated than my identity." Studies show that the words we use shape the way we see the world. These are tools to help us to point to different facets of our experience in this body, and putting words to an experience helps us embrace it and share it with those we love. So I hope that more and more terms are coming, because guess what? People are complicated. And we deserve to have a vast arsenal of language that we can use to make sense of all the chaos. Language drives connection, connection with our deepest truths and the hearts of those around us. How many of us have had long conversations with a friend or a love interest that you didn't want to end because you felt so aligned with and interested in them? It's a thrill to find someone to open up to and to learn their inner world. A character in the book Tell Me Everything by Elizabeth Strout said, "There is nothing sexier than talking." And I agree. In a genuine conversation, when we feel heard and understood, and we receive the vulnerability of the other person sharing their past experiences and future hopes, it's easy to feel a deep connection with one another. Of course, language can also be used to cloak ourselves, to appear as if we are someone different. It can be used for many negative purposes, such as manipulation, lying, name-calling, or gaslighting, which is making another person question their own thoughts or memories. The adage, "actions speak louder than words," can be true in many cases, but we often misinterpret actions because we assume a different emotion and intent were the impetus for the action. An example might be a colleague suddenly stopped getting together with their coworkers after work, and their coworkers assume the colleague is no longer interested in their friendship. But if they asked, they might learn that their colleague is managing a chronic illness and often feels fatigue after work. We need to be more curious about people and willing to be vulnerable with our truths. Our overall health benefits from talking to people. People with close friendships are more likely to have better mental health and physical health. Telling someone about our problems can be like a pressure valve, and it helps decrease our stress levels. Sharing our joy reinforces the positive emotion and expands it. And just knowing that someone is interested in what we have to say is validation of who we are. Our own self-talk can impact our emotional health. Cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, teaches people to recognize when they are telling themselves that something bad will happen or that they will fail in a situation, and then it teaches them to replace that message with one of positivity. That's a very simplistic explanation. Many school counselor and psychology offices have posters of different facial expressions with labeled emotions. Children often only identify feelings as happy, sad, or mad, and then respond with the behavior scripts that they have learned for those three emotions. Therapists teach the children to broaden their feelings vocabulary and their scripts in order to recognize how to appropriately react to different situations. The language we use inside our own heads is important for interpreting situations and processing different emotions. The younger generations have seen an increase in mental health issues, and most people blame this on an increase in the use of electronics and social media. But it's not just that. It's also a decrease in social interactions and opportunities to navigate the world and challenges. Yes, because they spend more time online, but there has also been a decrease across generations in volunteering, joining organizations, and participating in events. There are no longer sufficient opportunities to learn or practice how to negotiate rules in a pickup game, how to say things in a way that won't make a person mad, or learning to not say things that are rude, learning how to break tension with a joke, and how to apologize in a sincere way. And how do we do all those things? Through language, facial expressions, gestures, tone of voice, and timing. Only through conversation can we construct and maintain a shared reality with others, wrote Dr. Brooks in her book, Talk. Dr. Brooks is a behavioral scientist who studied and wrote about how we can improve our conversations, not just the difficult ones, but the easier ones too, in order to express ourselves and feel connected with others. I was drawn to the book because I do not feel very competent in conversing with people I don't know and in dealing with conflict. She argues that many conversations stay at superficial levels, but if we allow for the right questions or divulge the appropriate information, we can achieve a depth that allows our personalities to shine. And if we handle challenging conversations appropriately, we can prevent a break in a relationship. Like all good researchers, Dr. Brooks developed an acronym to remember the 4 things needed for an effective conversation, and the acronym, not surprisingly, is TALK. Topics, asking, levity, and kindness. Topics, of course, are the themes that we talk about. It's helpful to know which topics will work in certain situations and which topics will not. Asking questions helps to delve deeper into the topics or to change them. Levity helps to keep the conversation interesting and engaging, and kindness refers to maintaining respect and actively listening. While many of us are drawn to political spats online, we have forgotten how to have challenging conversations with other people. When someone wrongs or disagrees with us, we resort to cutting them out of our lives, retaliating, or complaining to the authorities, especially if we can do it with an anonymous phone call or an email. Studies have shown that people are becoming less comfortable having conversations with others, and even more so if the topic threatens their self-image. We are also conversing less with people different than ourselves. Challenging conversations are more neurologically challenging. They take up more energy in our brain, but we are losing our conflict resolution muscles. Studies have also found that people do not change their minds about deeply held beliefs through arguments and facts. Even under the best circumstances, people will not change their minds with one argument, but they may be able to shift some of their perspectives gradually when they feel safe and heard during the conversation. It's why we need to stay engaged, not block the person after the first argument. The goal of a challenging conversation should not be to win, but to establish in yourself a receptiveness mindset, which is the ability to listen to and accept the other person's point of view and likely learn something too. This is because we usually overestimate the other person's stubbornness in their viewpoint, which then makes us more stubborn in ours. But the more receptive we are in conversation, the more receptive the other person will become. It is important to learn about the person's perspective on the issue, not assume it. The recipe for receptiveness includes acknowledgement or repeating what the person has said and affirming some of their points. We should note what points we agree with and not be so resolute in our claims. While reciting facts in conversation can make it feel argumentative, personal stories are more effective because it helps the speaking partners feel connected. As Sammy Sage and Emily Amick say in their book, Democracy in Retrograde, quote, "Seek to understand, not to win." Instead of disconnecting ourselves from people we disagree with, creating silos within our community, we need to reestablish dialogue. A study of door-to-door canvassing in South Florida in 2016 found that people who had 10-minute conversations about transgender rights continued to show more support for transgender rights 3 months after the conversation, even while seeing political attack ads on TV. If this works with strangers, imagine the impact if the conversation was with someone they see regularly in their community. Finally, there's one powerful thing that we can only do through language, and that is apologize. Sure, we can give gifts or perform acts as a token for peace, but only by expressing our understanding of how the other person felt and that we take responsibility for what we did can we truly work towards restoring trust in our relationships. Many of us have likely received a peremptory apology and then we were expected to hug it out. The result is our feelings being pushed aside so that the other person is able to move on. It further weakens the connection between the parties. A genuine apology works to not only repair the damage that had been done, but moves towards strengthening the relationship. But for all the importance of language, there are many who are left without this tool for connection. That can be due to having cognitive or language disabilities, having an illness or injury take away the ability to speak, or being deaf or hard of hearing and deprived of access to sign language, or of hearing devices at an early enough age to develop speech pathways in the brain. With technology, we are gaining more access to the thoughts and feelings of people who before were left silent. And yet, the deaf community has a term called dinner table syndrome. It happens a lot at holidays when a deaf person goes home to family who does not know how to sign or does not make accommodations, such as ensuring people speak one at a time. The deaf family member, despite being surrounded by people who love them, feels isolated because there is no access to a mutual language. The 4-month-old boy I visited already recognized the importance of language access. Language is a bridge builder. It helps us build connections with ideas, other people, and other cultures, and repair connections when they have been broken. Open yourself up to new worlds, new people, new perspectives by learning a new language, and it's never too late. The act of learning a language is a great way to improve our cognitive health. As the author William Gibson said, language is to the mind more than light is to the eye. While the light helps the eye perceive the world, language helps the mind to make sense of it.
Thank you, Edris. Wonderful, wonderful sermon. How about a little stretch? Have you heard of the expression raising the roof? It's a phrase suggesting enthusiasm and gratitude. Let's symbolically raise the roof for Edris. There is a movement that accompanies the phrase. It is goalpost arms, palms towards the ceiling, and add a lift. In body or in spirit. I see you all. Oh my goodness, woohoo. Okay, we got it. Great, you got it. Here's the second part. I think they liked you. Now, accompany the movement with these words. Thank you, Edris. Okay, so we'll do 4 lifts with gusto and words. You ready? Thank you, Edris. Super. Well done. If you enjoyed this sermon, if you appreciate First U Church, please consider a financial offering today as you are able. Offerings, no matter the size, help us to pay our wonderful staff, continue programs in music for our youth, as well as our adults, education and enrichment, and to care for our grounds and this building where we meet. While the music plays, the screens will show the various ways to make an offering to this church and its ongoing work. As the ushers come forward with the baskets, please join me in dedicating our offering to the work of this congregation, which is weaving a tapestry of love and action. We dedicate our lives, and these are offerings. If you've lit a chalice at home, please extinguish it now as I read these words adapted by Reverend Krista Taves. It is our work, shared with each other in covenant, that creates and sustains this beloved community. We extinguish this chalice, but its light lives on.
Having lit strings of white lights at the front of the sanctuary, please consider the following, again from the book Talk by Dr. Brooks. Remember Olivia Diricat's closeness lines tracing the trajectories of our relationships? What if we think of our closeness lines and the conversation knots spread out along them instead as a string of lights? Irving Goffman once said that conversation is the spark, not the more obvious kinds of love, that lights up the world. As we gaze at the great web of lights and strings all around us, what if we endeavor to make each bulb burn a little brighter? There will be moments when our conversations threaten to flicker or burn out, but there will also be moments of brilliance. Let's get out there and light up the world one conversation at a time. Please rise and body your spirit in singing hymn number 34, Though I May Speak with Bravest Fire.
Have